Umania, oh Umania, Umania, oh Umania, Umania, oh Umania, Umania, oh Umania, Umania. One of the greatest gangster films of all time, and I almost missed this.
5, 4, 3, 1.
Polly here on the Latino Slant. How is everyone doing? I hope you guys are great. Listen up to my international crowd before we start this celebration of this movie. My international people, almost still 70% of you are not subscribed to the Slant. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people missing out, not only on all my international reactions to songs, to films, but I am your resource guide for all great Latino entertainment coming out of the US and Latin America. Subscribe now, ahorita, por favor. What are you waiting for? Ooh, boy, oh boy, oh boy. I just had to put my jacket on, get a hat on, get right, and get ready for this incredible talk about this movie called The Gangs of Wasseypur. And here's what I wanted to do. Here's what I would like to do. This is all as non-spoiler as I can be. I want to give you my initial reactions. Then I want to go to a couple of articles, maybe play some of the songs. Because what I did not know is that it's already the 10th anniversary of this movie coming out, and how it, from what I'm reading and what I've experienced, it's changed the Bollywood and Indian cinema scene so much. And I believe it. I believe it. So we're going to pull up an article celebrating its 10 years. Now, before we do that, let me give you my initial non-spoiler reaction to this film. The Gangs of Wasseypur is a multi-generational story covering, I think, 6 decades that is so rooted in a reality that its cinematic filter is nothing like I've ever seen before. It at times it feels as if, is this a documentary? Am I seeing something about the history of gangs and the relationships? Are these real people? I mean, so cinematically, it's so different than anything I've seen before. And it makes sense that the director's idol is Scorsese, which we will get to, because like Mean Streets, I would say Mean Streets is the closest thing that I could connect this movie to. What also I did not expect was kind of the entertainment education that I got on the history of this town, the history of these gangs that dates back all the way to, one could say, the 1890s, and then the story begins in the 1940s. So let me just give you a brief description. This film is about the coal mafia in Dhanbad, Jharkhand. It is set across 3 generations and 6 decades, like I said. The director is Anurag Kashyap. It stars Manjol Bajpayee, and excuse me if I get those names incorrectly, but like what I just described, the lead actor is none like I've seen before. And in covering Indian cinema recently, I just keep getting one-upped. And here is the article: 10 years of Gangs of Wasseypur, how the cult classic changed Bollywood for good. And this is the lead actor here, our lead man. And his character is the main matriarch, is one of the main gangsters of this film. And he is driven by vengeance. That's it. What's incredible is as much of a unlikable guy this is in the deeds that he does throughout the film, for some strange reason, I'm rooting for this guy. I'm rooting for this guy. And then he's got sons. And towards the end of the film, the sons are adults and their stories are involved. I haven't seen part two yet. And I don't want to give away any more of the story because I'm so impelled. I'm impelled to get you guys to see this film. Now, there's been films, right, that I have seen lately, and I've reviewed them here. Anhadun, Dumbad, and of course Triple R, that in their respective genres, I've never seen anything like it. It's so refreshing. In their respective genres, we're talking about horror thriller, then we're talking about kind of like your Hitchcock thriller, then of course Triple R. Now, but this is that Scorsese Mean Streets tenfold. It just is. It just is. And I will say that the opening of this movie begins with this one long shot of warfare going on inside the city, and that is so it's done on purpose because the director wanted to grab you right away. And once he grabs you for almost 3 hours, he doesn't let go. He doesn't let go. And there's just so many great performances in this film as well. And we're going to get to some of the music. I was singing one of those songs earlier. So it is available on, I paid for it. I saw it on Amazon Prime premium subscription. I was happy to give it my money. So happy. And then what I'm excited about is I get to see part two because I assume it's the sons and that next generation that takes over. So it's wild too. It's visceral in the sense of there, even its beauty, right? With the women and some of the celebration. It's cloaked in a shadow the whole time. And it's not like glitzy, there's nothing hyper Hollywood about it. It is you're always on edge because the filming, the storytelling is just like, okay, something bad's gonna happen. But yeah, that's my non-spoiler initial reactions to it. And in looking up, I had no idea this was 10 years old. In looking up, all the praise and celebration, it makes sense. So let's get to some of this praise and celebration. Let's talk about it a little bit here because it is definitely worthy. The two-part intergenerational crime saga is set in Wasseypur, a small town near Dhanbad in Jharkhand, India, chronicled the story of the coal mafia spreading across 3 generations of a family entangled in crime, extortion, and murder. Yeah, that's very nicely put. It stars, like as I said, Manoj Bajpayee. And can I just say, this guy looks familiar. This gentleman is familiar with some other films that I have not yet seen. But can I just say, there's something so unconventional about this leading man in this role. And I noticed that he's changed his look. He changed his look severely to do this role. That this character is so creepy and, like I said, at the same time so seductive. You're just like, wow, what a performance. Great. Chada, who played the feisty matriarch and Khan's first wife in the saga, shared a short throwback video clip from the promotions of the film on her Instagram handle to share how Gangs of Wasseypur changed not just the landscape of Indian cinema, but her life too. And she says, celebrating 10 years since the birth of this modern classic, not a day goes by when I don't think about the impact of this film has had on the landscape of Indian cinema, my life, she wrote. The actor concluded by expressing her gratitude for being part of the project. Loads of love to the team. The film uh, did give a lot of talent to the film industry. That's fantastic. Co-written by Kashyap and Zishan Quadri, the first part of Gangs of Wasseypur came out in June 22nd, 2012. So just over 10 years to this date, right? Of this video that we're doing it. While the second part hit cinemas August 8th, 2012. The film's soundtrack was composed by Khan Wakar and Mishra, lyrics penned by Mishra and Grover. Now, I want to jump to a couple of things here, and then I want to go to another article. The film had a lot of quotable dialogues, which I can't really dig into because of obviously the language. But the music, there were songs that can't be forgotten to this day, including O Womanaja, Ik Bagal, and Kaila Ray. The film was screened in its entirety at the 2012 Cannes Directors Fortnight, becoming one of the only Hindu language films to achieve this feat. It also received an overwhelming response at various film festivals across the globe. I mean, what an accomplishment! What a treat that that this film and what it's achieved. Also, too, it's how do you say it? Its fans are pretty famous, and one no more famous than Martin Scorsese himself. And this is wild. When Scorsese wrote a letter to Anuraj Kashyap to compliment his Gangs of Wasseypur. And this article is just from last year, so still celebrating it in its 10-year anniversary. Now, back in 2012, he revealed he got a letter from Scorsese and thoroughly enjoyed it, found them exciting and inspiring. The letter read. If that wasn't enough, Scorsese also expressed his desire to meet Kashyap, who tweeted his delight by saying, "My biggest award yet." And here's a photo of the director and Scorsese from 2013. Wow. Imagine doing something, such a landmark film, and then getting to meet your cinematic hero in the process. That's wild. Kashyap's film Gangs of Wasseypur was selected for the prestigious Directors Fortnight for the 65th Cannes Film Festival. The film was inspired by Scorsese's Goodfellas, which I think is interesting because cinematically, to me, it's more of a mean streets, but I guess in scope, it does, Goodfellas does cover more decades. Receiving a letter from your idol must be a moment that Kashyap will cherish for a long time. So, on one of his other films, Scorsese got to work with his editor in giving him some notes. Kashyap not only did receive a letter from Scorsese, but even got to work with his editor and show his films. It must have been a major fanboy moment for him. Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, these are things that I did not know about. I did not know about this. I know you guys have been for the last few months. Gangs of Wasseypur, Gangs of Wasseypur. You got to see it. You got to react. Well, I'm so glad that I finally did. I'm so glad that I finally did. And I opened up the film with the film. I opened up our video today with "Oh Womanaja," and there's another great song that I wanted to end this video with, and you get to see some of the excuse me, some of the images of this film, so you can get a good taste of it. And this song is called Ik Bagal. And again, there's nothing as beautiful as these songs are. There's something very intense about what we are listening to, what we are watching, that I was just like, whoa. There's something about this song that's very ancient, very familiar, and yet and again, I don't know the lyrics, right? I'm just going off a feeling of what I'm hearing, because music is universal. There's just, like I said, something very ancient, something very familiar, and it's something very dark and sinister. Maybe it's because as I'm watching it, right? You know, let's play a little bit more. Ikabagal. Yeah. Right on. So I highly recommend this film. Absolutely. If this is your first time finding out about this film, Gangs of Wasseypur, Part 1, I will watch Part 2 as well. That is all the time we have for today. Wherever you're at, keep your slant fuerte, very strong. We'll see you soon. Paz y delegas. Check out some of these images, man. I'm telling you. Oof. Yeah, some of the looks, some of the, you can see the intensity. All right, that's all the time we got today. Be well, everyone.